The elevator descended with terrifying speed, hurtling Min into the abyss of darkness. His heart pounded in his chest, and terror gripped him. In that moment, he knew they should have never played the elevator game. The echoes of his own screams filled the confined space as the elevator plunged further into the depths of the unknown. It was a night like any other. Min, Chu, and Yoon, lifelong friends seeking an adventure to break the monotony, found themselves searching for something different to do. They gathered in Min's dimly lit living room, the soft glow of the TV offering little solace from their boredom. Min broke the silence. "Guys, we can't spend every night like this. We need something exciting." Chu, the thrill-seeker, grinned. "You're right, Min. Let's make tonight memorable." Yoon nodded in agreement. "But what can we do that's different?" Chu's eyes sparkled with mischief. "I heard about the elevator game. An urban legend. It's eerie and thrilling. Perfect for a night like this." Min and Yoon exchanged skeptical glances, but curiosity prevailed. They reluctantly agreed to give the elevator game a try. Their chosen location was the town's long-abandoned, ominous skyscraper known as the Tower of Shadows. With 10 floors of haunting history, it had earned a reputation that kept locals at a distance. As the clock neared midnight, they stood before the building's entrance, leaves rustling around them. Min hesitated, gazing up at the looming structure. "Are you sure this is the right place?" Chu, unfazed, checked her notes and nodded. "Positive. The Tower of Shadows is ideal for the elevator game." Trepidation hung in the air as they ventured inside. The lobby was filled with dust-covered furniture, shattered glass, and an unsettling stillness greeted them. Approaching the old elevator, its once polished brass doors now tarnished, Chu turned to her friends. "You know, I forgot to mention something important. Only one person can be in the elevator at a time. I've written down the rules for each of you." She handed a piece of paper to Min and another to Yoon, explaining, "I'll go first to prove that it's not too bad." Min and Yoon exchanged worried glances as Chu entered the elevator, a big grin on her face. She pressed the first button, and with a sense of anticipation, the elevator began its ascent. 15 agonizing minutes passed as Min and Yoon waited anxiously. Then, to their relief, the elevator descended, and Chu emerged with a huge grin on her face. "It was incredible. So thrilling." Yoon couldn't help but ask, "Did you see the woman on the 5th floor?" Chu's smile never wavered as she replied, "No, I didn't see anything like that. It was just a wild ride." Encouraged by Chu's experience, Min decided to go next. Chu turned to him. "Remember the rules. Floors 4, 2, 6, 2, 10, 5, and finally 1. The elevator doors creaked open, revealing a dimly lit interior. Min stepped inside, clutching the piece of paper with the rules tightly. His heart was pounding as he pressed the first button. Chu and Yoon watched as the elevator doors closed, and it began its ascent. Floor 4 arrived, but Min stayed put, resisting the urge to exit. He pressed the button for the 2nd floor. The elevator descended, and the air grew colder. He reached the 2nd floor and stayed on, pushing the button for the 6th floor. Floor 6 greeted him with a haunting melody, its walls adorned with disturbing paintings. The whispers grew louder, but he pressed on, reaching for the button labeled 2. Immediately, the elevator continued its journey to the 2nd floor. He wasted no time once it stopped, and pressed the button for the 10th floor. Now, he was on his way to the 10th floor. and a chilling anticipation filled the elevator. When he arrived at the 10th floor, he pressed the button for the 5th floor. As the elevator descended, dread coursed through him. On the 5th floor, the doors opened to reveal a woman. Her appearance was an unsettling blend of the ordinary and evil. Her skin was gray and clammy, as if it hadn't seen sunlight in centuries. Strands of long jet black hair hung in greasy tangles around her face. But it was her eyes that sent a shiver down Min's spine. They were large and devoid of color, like twin pools of inky darkness. Min, unable to resist the urge to confront the woman, turned to her and said, his voice trembling, "Who are you?" The woman's lips curled into a sinister smile, revealing rows of needle-sharp teeth that glistened. Her fingers, each ending in a long, pointed nail, twitched with anticipation. The woman's eyes gleamed with malevolence as she hissed, "You shouldn't have asked." In that moment, the air grew thicker with darkness, and the elevator's lights flickered ominously. The doors slammed shut, and the elevator began to malfunction in terrifying ways. The floors beneath Min's feet tilted at an angle, making it nearly impossible to maintain his balance. The walls seemed to close in, the space growing increasingly claustrophobic. As the elevator malfunctioned, Min's panic intensified. He desperately pressed buttons, but they remained unresponsive. The woman's twisted laughter echoed through the confined space, drowning out Min's cries for help. The elevator began to descend rapidly. Min panicked and screamed, and the elevator plummeted into the abyss. The woman's twisted laughter echoed through the confined space as he descended into the unknown. Panic coursed through Min, and he desperately pressed the emergency button, but it remained unresponsive. The elevator descended further and further, the air growing colder and the darkness more oppressive. Suddenly, with a spine-chilling jolt, the elevator came to a screeching halt. The lights flickered and then went out entirely, plunging him into absolute darkness. The silence was broken only by the sound of his frantic breathing. For what felt like an eternity, he remained trapped in the pitch-black elevator, suspended in an unknown void. Then the lights started flickering back to life. The woman had vanished, but her presence still lingered. Her laughter had ceased, leaving behind a chill that seemed to whisper promises of eternal suffering. Then, just as abruptly as it had stopped, the elevator began to ascend, passing floor after floor. He had no idea where he was headed or what awaited him when he reached his destination. Finally, the elevator came to a halt once more. The doors slowly creaked open, revealing an other world. Everything was bathed in a sickly red glow. He had no choice but to venture out of the elevator and into the surreal realm as the elevator was stuck there. Min saw twisted buildings with shattered windows, their walls oozing with a dark liquid that resembled blood. The ground itself was streaked with crimson, giving the impression of a gruesome slaughterhouse. The air was thick with the metallic stench of blood, and anguished, terrified screams echoed all around him. The eerie silence was broken only by the distant, mournful wails of the damned, of those who had ventured into this cursed place and found no escape. In the distance, Min saw a bright red cross glowing. Then, without warning, a deformed, tormented figure leaped out from behind a crumbling building. Its limbs were elongated and contorted, his eyes hollow and filled with despair. The figure let out a painful scream that pierced the air, a sound of pure torment and agony. It took one more look at Min before fleeing into the shadows. Min's surroundings were unlike anything he had ever imagined. He knew with a sinking feeling that he was trapped in this otherworldly realm, far from his loved ones, and he would have to navigate through this hell to find any hope of escape.